Oh my God. Oh my God.
All right. we just watched Shelby Oaks, and it's a new horror movie. And I knew when I had picked this that it had not gotten that great of reviews, but we thought, whatever, it's like kind of the mood we were in.
Like we kind of understand that like horror movies a lot of the times are like they kind of end up being a little goofy in some ways, but they generally, I feel like the ones we've watched kind of we can appreciate.
I don't understand how this movie is done after 1 hour and 19 minutes, and there's still like 12 minutes left. Okay, so I picked this movie because we were just kind of in that mood of like this sort of vibe we were interested in.
Yeah, it kind of ties in with some of the shorts that we recently saw in.
So I'll just summarize real quick that the premise of this movie is it's documentary style about a group of people who make YouTube videos about paranormal events and paranormal hauntings, and they are found murdered, but one of the girls is not found, and it's about her sister trying to find her and trying to understand what happened. And I think we could just go straight into however you want to do this. I think the genie has to come out of the bottle, though. This movie was like, I don't know what they wanted to do. It felt like they wanted to do 5 different movies.
I sit here thinking, I don't even know. I'm trying to like collect my thoughts into like maybe a timeline of like, maybe we should talk about the plot. But it doesn't make any sense if we did that anyways.
I just think we should go with whatever we feel like is what we want to talk about.
This movie sucked ass.
I think that like this movie, it was like an exercise in how frustrated could you be.
Yeah.
And here's the thing I didn't understand. It like I had heard, and maybe I heard incorrectly, but I heard that this is a movie that was filmed and it was created. It was shown at some film festivals. It was not well received. Then they kept either reworking it or reshooting it. And let me tell you, if that isn't what happened, it sure as hell felt like it.
I agree. I think it feels like the beginning is like documentary style, and it goes into like her sister Mia's the sister, and then Riley's the younger sister who was lost as a part of this YouTube thing, and then everyone else was killed, and you see that, but they didn't have her body, so they're like, she's got to be alive somewhere, and it starts as like a documentary thing, and then it kind of just goes into like it's like a crime type thing, and then it becomes like a spiritual type thing, then it's a kidnapping movie, then it's like, then there's a baby.
Yeah, it's like if you took the action sequences of 5 different horror movies and stitched them together poorly is what this felt like. Like the documentary style felt like a worse Lake Mungo. Then it went into this. Like, the thing that I was very confused about at first was it felt like it was clearly a documentary, and it seemed like I thought it was going to be a documentary the whole time.
Yeah.
And then it was like, you kind of got this whiplash in that, like, the next couple scenes were Mia and her husband, and they're in this, like, beautifully lit scene, and the cameras are immaculate. It's like, it's so weird to me that we went from, like, this sort of passably documentary style movie to like, no, it's not that at all, actually.
Like an analogy, like it almost just feels like that was just used for like, it was literally almost 20 minutes of exposition.
Yeah, it was like, it's funny because it starts out as this is the most documentariest documentary you've ever seen to this is the most moviest movie you've ever seen.
Yeah.
In a blink.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work. Nothing works in this movie. Like,
oh my God, dude.
You could tell that this movie just has the feeling of it felt like a movie that it had an original vision and direction, and they just had reworked it again and again and again and again. And what they did was they were like, okay, we've got now these 5 or 6 different movies, and we have to somehow transition to them in every. It's like 3 or 4 different movies that they have to cross this bridge to. How can we more naturally get from this documentary to this like almost like it kind of felt like a Silence of the Lambs style movie at one point, and then it's like she somehow has unfettered access to all these people that are like, asking about the prisoner or whatever.
Kind of going off that too, and like kind of getting into like other problems that I have with this is that the main character does the most senseless things at the risk of like she's like it's like false scariness, because like she's so brave and callous and stupid that you're like, there's no way this is gonna just kill her. But she continues to do things that are so like not what a normal person would ever do, ever. Like, I think the part that started with, and you would probably agree, like the part that starts with like, oh my God, like just kind of an eye-rolling moment is like that whole documentary to like movie thing is like, okay, like whatever. But then during one part of it, like after she views the tape and like doesn't tell police, which that makes sense. She's like, there's a scene with her sitting down and there's a book of like, there's like a demonology book next to her. And then it's like, oh, okay, like here we go. Like, this is going to be, and it kind of like leads you to believe. And then that becomes like the whole plot for the next, 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
And then they start talking to like the old warden or one of like, I don't know if that was, or if he was like the one, like a police officer or an investigator.
Yeah, I think he was the warden of the prison that had shut down.
And I forget he's a pretty famous voice actor. But anyways, then then it becomes like a criminal investigation where she like goes into the abandoned prison alone.
Why would you do that? That is the thing that makes the least sense to me. At least that's when the movie really transitioned into this like silly, completely unbelievable style of movie. Like, and you kind of felt that way whenever you'd mentioned that she's having this sort of like, okay, I'm going to chase this thread, and very like long legs where it's like, I've got to unravel the mystery. Mm-hmm. And then she's like putting stuff away and she looks at her bag and precariously peeking out of this bag, and almost like a comic, like almost in a parody fashion is a book that says demonology. And of course it's got the symbols that she had seen, which is so ridiculous because you're telling me that this was a story that was on the nation's ears for months, and they showed those stupid symbols in blood, and nobody thought, like, maybe we should look to see if those symbols mean anything. Oh, it has something to do with incubus and demonology? Whoa, like, that's a thread we should pull. That it didn't make any sense for her to be the one who somehow uncovered this. And then she decides, like, I can't wait till the morning, and I certainly can't tell somebody to come with me. I have to go investigate an abandoned prison by myself.
Not to mention another big problem, at least from like a visual perspective, is like that scene where she's driving up to this like prison is the hokiest shit ever. It looks terrible. Like the overhead scene where the truck pulls in and like the mansion, it looks like a mansion. It looks like an insane asylum, but apparently it's a prison. But it looks terrible. And not to get too into the plot because it becomes like a big kind of loophole, but like the beginning of the after like the documentary part, like a guy comes up to her doorstep and like kills himself holding a tape, and then she views the tape, and then it's like they're trying to make all these connections like, well, Riley was okay until he was gone, and then when he was actually in prison things were okay, and then but when he was in prison, the prison was rotting because he's such a bad guy, or like there's some...
He's like draining the essence of...
Yes, it is just like, Oh my god. And then so like kind of going beyond like the crime part, then she comes up to like there's like two big points. So she visits the
prison.
The prison, goes into the cell where this guy was. This is the guy who killed himself, and he's kind of like been a part of the whole thing. There's a bunch of symbols written in like blood, and then she almost gets killed by a hellhound, which is in the book of demonology she's reading. She's scared for her life, and then she drives away. And then you know what she does? She puts herself in harm's way again. She goes to the amusement park and is like, I need to investigate here.
Yeah,
What the hell?
like in the prison scene, she hears the demon talking to her.
Yeah.
And then she, out of fear, leaps out of the jail cell and is looking into the jail cell. Mm-hmm. The hellhound jumps at her, and this demon stops the hellhound from attacking her. Mm-hmm. And she just leaves the prison, and then she's like, it's almost like she's on her way home, and she's like, I should investigate. It's 2 a.m. I should go check out the abandoned theme park right now,
because that's part of like where Riley and Mia grew up, and like their mom took them there all the time. Well, and then guess what? So she's by herself, and what do you encounter? We see this kind of like figure, which, albeit, is quite scary. I think they did that. That's like the one redeeming part, is like the creature's like really spooky. And then this time you see, oh my god, you see a hellhound. And you know what the hellhound does? It's like, oh, come follow me. Now it's nice. Oh, it's nice.
Yeah, I mean, like, she sees this thing, and of course it's unsettling, and it doesn't attack her. Yeah. And she feels compelled to follow this thing. It's almost like leading her to someplace.
It turns its body and like it's like, oh, and then it like points his nose like, oh, go up these stairs, which have previously have never been there before. Like, when did they show up? Because then she goes to this like mobile home, and then the kind of the climax of the whole plot is this old woman comes out, right? This old woman comes out, and she's very creepy. She's extremely creepy. And not to mention that Mia has zero reason to think that she's at all any involved with this. But she's like, come into my house. And what's Mia do? She goes into the house.
Yeah, this is a person who has zero survival instincts. She follows this hellhound that almost killed her in the prison, and it leads her to an old woman. And she, like you said, she has no business being there. There's no reason to think that this will help her in any way, shape, or form, right? Mm-hmm. But she just decides, I guess I'm going to follow this thing. And the old woman says, why don't you come inside? And before she does, she notices black mold up and down the like doorway. And then she steps into the house, and there's black mold all over this house. And at no point does she have this sort of like overwhelming feeling of like, I need to leave, I need to do something. And look, we watch horror movies. Horror movies are historically cheesy. This kind of thing happens a lot, but our beef with this is that up to this point, she's demonstrated a lot of rationality, and then all of a sudden, it's like she's a totally different character. She like throws that to the wayside. She's like, no, it can't wait. I have to go to the prison immediately. Mm-hmm. No, it can't wait. I have to step into this old woman's house immediately. Yeah. It's so, it is an exercise in frustration. Mm-hmm. Every single time that you see a person, that you watch this character, Mia, make decisions after that moment where she leaves to go to the prison, it is the complete opposite decision that any other person would make. Yeah. And it feels... like, I think the thing that's frustrating to me, and we've had this critique about a lot of horror movies we've seen, is like, I think there's a legit halfway decent horror movie in here somehow, but it's told so poorly. Yeah. And it is such a mess of storylines and unfinished just like 5 different movies crammed into one. Like a stitching. It is so messy.
I will say, like, well, and then we can get to the like kind of the end as a part of like our frustrations, but like the one thing that you're talking about, like I thought that you did say like there's a good horror movie in here, like, and we were talking about like found footage or like analog tapes. that kind of stuff is kind of scary, and I like it. And especially since like they were talking about like those YouTubers, like the very beginning, like this Riley was a part of this group. Like the footage that was shown of like them, one person's face just being ripped off was cool. Like that's like so jarring and like kind of like kick ass. And then you're like, what? You kind of have like pretty high hopes that this is going to be like, it's like worth investing my time into like figure out what happened to Riley. Sure, right? You know, but oh my god,
this is, I mean. We've just seen, I mean, we've seen so many horror movies as part of this podcast. We've seen so many horror movies just on our own. And it's like, neither of us are saying that a horror movie and its characters have to be perfectly rational. Most horror movies are not. And that's fine. It's part of what makes the movies, it gives a horror movie, like that's part of the vibe a horror movie has, is a lot of times when they're getting chased by the killer, they don't go out the front door; they go upstairs. Right? It's like the age-old, like that is a common complaint about a lot of horror movies. But my problem is that like it feels like such a betrayal of these characters and a potentially good story to make artificial danger out of scenarios that are only perilous because of the dumb decisions that these people have put themselves in.
Yeah. So, in kind of getting towards the end, I don't want to explain every little detail, but I'll try to summarize it as best I can. So, goes to the old woman's house. She's more sinister than she comes to appear off as. And turns out she has a basement, and she's actually keeping Riley down there. So she goes down there, or she's like, it's a gift, come down here. So then Mia stupidly just like walks down there, although she does have a knife in her hand. And then who's down there is Riley, right? So she's like, come on, we got to get out of here.
Yeah, she's locked away, right?
And
she's in this like makeshift prison.
Yeah, so she grabs the keys, gets her freed, and then like, some eerie things happen. She's like being chased. And then Mia tries to lead Riley out, like, let's go, we're free, come on. And then Riley says like, no, something I forget. But then she opens the door and like the woman comes out. And then Riley runs upstairs for some reason. You're like, what's going on here? And then like, of all things, like our fearless protagonist takes forever to open the door. She has been she walks into a prison, an abandoned prison, and sees a demon and like continues to like put herself in danger. But opening this door is the most fearful thing she's ever done. And so you're thinking she's going to do something crazy, right? Like this woman has captured my sister for years. And so she gets in there, she opens the door, and it's like the typical demon movie. Like there's a baby, she's cutting herself and she's chanting this prayer, and then the old woman uses the force on Riley and lifts her up in the air and slams her on the ground. And then what does Mia do? She doesn't do anything.
She just watches.
She watches this woman say this incantation and pour her blood on this baby, and then like she crawls to this mural of like it has RM written on it, and she's wiping her blood on it. And what does the woman do? What does Mia do? Absolutely nothing. She just watches.
It's kind of like if you watched any movie where there's like a big red button, and if the villain presses the big red button, it causes the destruction of like the protagonist's hometown or something, like Star Wars-esque. Mm-hmm. And it's like you're watching the villain in slow-mo dying, and they're like reaching for the button, but the protagonist is just watching. Like, she has every chance to like stop it, to prevent it from happening,
and intervene in some way.
At this point, like later on in the movie, at the very end, you're explained that she's under the possession of this demonic force to keep this baby safe. But at this point, she's not. At this point, she's there. She's trying to rescue her sister, but she has like this person who was willing to go to an abandoned prison in the middle of the night to figure out what happened to her sister is at the apex of the movie. She's at the climax of the movie, and she's doing nothing. She's just watching this old woman crawl from like one side of the attic to the other side of the attic, and like finish this incredibly complex cult sort of thing to manifest this demon in this baby. Like she's just doing nothing, and it is so. Again, it's just an exercise in frustration and how much, how angry can the viewer be?
It's really telling to me. Like this woman Mia is so like into like finding her sister, and that's great. Like I can, that is like a tangible feeling. Like you would do anything for your sister, and to find that your sister is like been maimed and emaciated because of a demonic woman, don't you think you would do something about it? And she was willing to risk her marriage, and like you come to find out like they had marital problems and they couldn't have kids. So like this baby, she's like, oh, I have a baby now. So she takes the baby home, and then her and her husband still are like arguing, but like, oh, she finally has her sister now. And then Riley and this baby are alone, and like Riley is like the only one that seems to have actually like some sense, because like she's like, this baby's demonic. Like this baby isn't actually a good. Because like it was like, you know, cursed or whatever the witch did, the old lady did. And so then it like kind of comes to fruition like this. You see like the symbolism of a window being cracked by like when this demonic figure is there. And, you know, Riley is like trying to suffocate the baby with a pillow. And then Mia's like, no, you can't do that, and pushes her out the window. And then what you see, the most insane looking AI generated dog. 3 dogs like start ripping Riley to shreds, and you're just like, oh my God, what the hell?
Well, okay, so like that part right there, you know, here's a good example of what we mean by this movie is just unsure of what it is. Is she seemingly pushes Riley out the window, although like I wasn't totally convinced that she did that. It almost seemed like she was pushed out by some external force.
Okay, sure.
But rather than that being enough, right? Like rather than that being enough and being like, oh my gosh, like was she possessed, or was it the demon, or was it, you know, something else that had happened? Mm-hmm. They can't let well enough be alone. So what do? She falls out the window, and she could have been dead right there.
Yeah.
And it would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah, it would be plausible.
But instead, 4 dogs, you watch 4 dogs eat her. And it's like...
It's gruesome for gruesome sakes. And it's just like, it doesn't... Yeah.
It's stupid looking. It's like... It is not the kind of... It's the kind of thing that if you were in a movie theater and you'd watched it, everybody would be laughing about it.
Yeah, truly.
And I don't know. Like I said, like overall, I think my problem with this movie is it has sunk cost fallacy written all over it. Like you could tell, you could tell that what had happened is that I don't know how movies are funded, but this movie was funded.
Yeah.
And what we saw here is not the first draft, and it probably wasn't the second or third one. But this had gone through so many shots and reshoots, and
you just got to push it out.
100% is what I think happened. Is I think that they were just like, look. Although I think that the person who made this movie, the person who's the creative behind this movie, probably felt like we have to start over.
Yeah.
But I think that they probably can't. I mean, and that's true of lots of things in life. Like, that's true of lots of things where you would love to start over now that you know what you know, but you can't. And it just, like, this is a movie where I think that they put it out there and they just knew that it was going to be like this. Mm-hmm. It's just too many different things at once. And the thing that's really disappointing is that Mike Flanagan was the executive director who... Like, I don't love all of his work, but most of his work is very well done. Mm-hmm. He did the Netflix series The Haunting of Hill House, which is fantastic. Yeah. He did the Fall of the House. What is it? Fall of House Usher.
Yes, Usher. Yeah.
I can't remember if that's the name, but I did watch it. I did like it. I didn't like it as much as Haunting of Hill House, and he did The Haunting of Bly Manor, and I didn't like that one as much. But needless to say, he's a good director. Yeah. He knows how to make a good story, and he knows how to make a good, well-produced film or TV series or whatever. And so I have all the belief in the world that I don't think that this is the movie he really wanted to put out.
Yeah.
And I think that this movie could have been good. I think that there were a lot of things that this movie could have done.
Yeah.
But
I kind of, so like, and in the end, like then the dogs kill Riley. And then what do you see the demonic figure, and like, it was so bizarre. Like it put its hand on her shoulder, like, it's okay. Like, it's okay now.
yeah.
And then
she's possessed. She's got the eyes glowing.
It's like, oh. And then you know what I was thinking about? This definitely reminds me of it reminds me of a movie that I feel like kind of has a similar idea, just done better. And I think you would be like, I can see that. You know what movie this feels like? This feels like Weapons. Feels
a little bit.
A lot like Weapons. Like it's like there's people missing. We got to find them. What's going on? There's some bizarre things that happen. It ends up being about like a witchy. It's like a witch that's harboring these kids and like keeping them keeping against their will. But like the care and love that was put into that movie is clearly not demonstrated in this film. Yeah. This film, like Aaron said, it probably was rushed. I think at some point, like if we want to give credit to Mike Flanagan about like, you know, putting out a product, I think the guy might have just been like, well, like in for a penny, in for a pound. Like we've already spent this much money. We have to push something out. And it is not good. This is not a good movie.
It's not good. I mean, and I think the thing that's crazy to me is that like, this movie is only an hour and like 18 minutes.
Yeah.
That is insanely short for a feature film. And on top of that, like, as much as I would like to say it needed to be longer because I think it would have helped the movie, in a lot of ways it was like I was so ready for it to be done that I didn't want it to be longer.
Yeah.
I think that a different movie, again, like there's a lot of aspects of this movie that are they can make a better film. Like, why do I care about Mia and her husband? Like, I feel like there's probably something there. It would have developed them as more like, like to me, the idea of her willing to let her sister just lie there in the attic, emaciated, while she's going to check on this child. Yeah. It would have been so much more interesting if we had known the struggles that they had went through to have children. Yeah. But it was just a footnote.
It was almost like literally like one sentence.
Yeah.
Like in the very beginning.
So like that whole emotional impact is gone whenever you see this child. Like to us, it looks ridiculous. But if they had fleshed that out a little bit more, that would have been a little bit more earned.
But to make it seem like there was no like leading thought that this could be plausible or that they would have that big of an impact. So like it feels so cheap to feel like, well, don't you remember that one line when they said they couldn't have kids and now look how happy she is? It's like she wasn't invested in about having kids at all at any other point in the movie except for literally one sentence.
Yeah. And it's like we instinctively know, like as people, we realize that if you want children and you can't have them, it is devastating. But that's all we get out of this. It's like, yes, I know that as a person, it would just be better for this movie if I would have seen her struggle, because then when I see her meet this child, like
you can kind of rationalize some of her decision making,
right? Because like we see her look at this child and she's like, you just threw your sister to the ground of the attic, and this woman who is like dying is still in here somewhere.
There are parts. I mean, I would say collectively as a whole, like there's just not a lot of redeeming factors. It feels, it's like almost so bad it just is bad. Like sometimes movies are so bad that they're like kind of good, and this just falls in like the one that it's not even good. There's like not even that many good things about it.
I think the thing that like sucks is that you'd mentioned it before, but like the creature design on the demon is quite good.
Yeah.
Like I like pretty jarring when it shows up, genuinely scary.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's also this like laughably bad, not AI, but like CGI.
Yeah.
Just this embarrassingly bad CGI in places it doesn't need to be used. Like there's a scene, like you had said, when she's driving to the prison.
Oh.
It is so bad looking, and it's like it wasn't like you were trying to sell us that she was fighting a giant, or she wasn't like, you know, fighting goblins. Like she was driving to a place.
Yeah.
Just show her doing it.
Yeah. It feels like of one place to skimp, like
you could have just
taken a drone, like a $300 drone.
Yeah.
Like, it made it like you could buy drones with 4K on it. Like, you know, especially if I'm sure this budget was like $1 million.
And we talked about this. I don't know if this will be published before the short that we had watched, but one of the shorts that we had watched, one of the things that we gave it a lot of credit for was that when you have found footage stuff, it is really, really hard to, how do I want to say this? It's very obvious whenever the found footage transitions into non-found footage stuff. It's very easy to take a handheld camera and just shoot whatever you want. But if you're trying to have it look like the camera's glitching and showing something, if you don't do that in an authentic way, if you don't do that like within the handheld camera, it looks like it hits this uncanny valley. Yeah. And that's how the news, all those different news things that we saw.
Oh my gosh. You could tell, it looks so poorly done.
Like, you know, it would, like, I think that, is it expensive to do this? I'm sure. But like, go to a real news studio and shoot something. Yeah. Like you don't, it looking.
Or don't even use that. Like use like get like a small like TV filter.
Yeah.
And have them act like they're like just saying like, this is Channel 37 News.
You mean like do a voiceover?
Yeah,
totally.
And like you can do a montage. Yeah, B-roll of like Riley or Mia or them growing up or yeah.
Yeah, but you could tell just because if it's a news program, it'd be easy to sell it as audio only. Yeah, I totally agree. Like if you can't do it in the authentic way, it looks so cheap so quickly, and that's kind of what happens in. What's the Hell House?
Yeah.
Hell House has a lot of that. It's handheld stuff looks great because it's all handheld, but when it cuts to some of the news reports, quote unquote, it looks so hokey. Yeah. It looks so hokey. It's not convincing. The movie suffers because of it. Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know. I think that like that's the kind of stuff. Those are the kind of details where it's like, man. Like, if you sweat those details, I think that it sounds so small, but it's so important for a movie like this to make sure that those pass as legitimate, especially if the only part of this movie that's a documentary is the first 10 minutes. Yeah. And you might as well go all out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's not much else I could say about this movie other than that. I literally stood up at like one part of it and just like put my hands on my head, and we were just like, mouth agape to each other, just like, what are they it is so I'm shocked that it even has 55% on Rotten. How does it even have 30% on Rotten Tomatoes? There's just
I do feel like 55% is quite generous.
I'm not saying all parts are bad again. We've kind of given credit where credit's due, but like this main character she's just so like she is so unlikable.
She just seems like, I don't know.
Her husband's right, man. She just needs some damn help.
And
then you're like, oh man, he's kind of mean, but then you're just like, wow, you're not wrong, dude. Like, that's like the one time where you feel like the husband actually has a good point. Like, this woman just needs some help.
Like, I don't know, we're just scrubbing through this movie and just like looking at some of these, I don't know, like the end. Yeah, the old woman is dying, and she like looks back like, oh, "Are we done? Is that cut? Is it over? Is the scene over?"
Did you get my eyes? Because
let me do one more take. Let me do one more take at this.
Yep.
All right, there we go. But I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, my
it's
God.
it's disappointing. I think, like, honestly, the thing I'm just mostly disappointed. And in fact, like, I don't think you've seen any of these, so this won't be something that you're all that familiar with. But this is like if you took Twin Peaks, made it super terrible, and then also were like, I don't know, I also like Hereditary. Throw Hereditary in here somehow. Like, that's what this feels like. It just is. It is a worse version of lots of different movies instead of just being a halfway decent movie of its own. And maybe that's the thing I'm most disappointed by, is that, like, be your own thing at least. You don't just be a copy of a bunch of other things and be a weaker version than all of them. I don't know. That's all I got to say. You got anything else?
No, I'm currently trying to read reviews online, and I will be shocked if I see positive things. And I think the hive mind of Reddit might actually just try to convince you that this was a good movie.
I actually, whenever I saw people talking about it on Reddit, before this had come out, a lot of people were very critical about it. So I don't know.
I hope I find that, because I haven't seen it just yet, but I gotta find it. Don't watch this one.
I wouldn't. I mean, you can if you want, but I wouldn't.